She had no riches to leave him, only a memory of virtue. That memory became the compass by which he steered a divided nation. You too will one day leave behind a memory, and it will guide or mislead generations. Think of Andrew Carnegie's example. His life was an unbroken sermon on definiteness of purpose. He demanded much of himself and inspired the same in others. The men under him learned to think like him, to see opportunity instead of obstacle. His discipline created disciplined men who went forth and multiplied his success long after his death. This is the hidden immortality of influence. Now picture another man, a father who drinks away his wages, curses his work, and excuses his failure by blaming others. His son grows bitter, lazy, resentful of effort. He becomes what he saw. That father, though dead, continues to destroy his son's life through example. The grave buries the body, but not the influence. Do you now see the weight of your days? Every hour you live is a lesson written in your children's minds. The manner in which you greet the morning, the way you handle adversity, the words you speak of others, these are their inheritance. You may not remember them, but they will. Therefore, conduct your life as though every act were being engraved upon the soul of your child, because it is. When anger tempts you, remember that you are teaching him to lose control. When you gossip, remember you are teaching him to distrust. When you lie, you are training him to believe that truth is negotiable. And when you rise before dawn to labor toward a definite aim, you are teaching him the dignity of work. When you keep faith under trial, you are teaching him that belief is stronger than circumstance. When you forgive where others would hate, you are teaching him greatness of spirit. Each act writes destiny. Let me give you an exercise that will change your household. Each evening, when the day is ended, sit alone for 5 minutes and ask yourself, if my children copied every word I spoke today, every tone I used, every reaction I gave, what kind of men and women would they become? This question will strip away vanity and reveal truth. If you are dissatisfied with the answer, begin tomorrow differently. Life gives fresh parchment each dawn. Write a better example upon it. Even if you have failed before, even if your children have already learned your errors, redemption is not denied. Begin to live the new pattern, and they will soon follow. Children do not need perfect parents. They need consistent ones. They forgive errors when they see sincerity. They admire those who fall and rise more than those who never risk. Let them see that strength is not the absence of failure, but the refusal to remain fallen. Teach them, not by preaching, but by rising. Affirm these words each morning: I lead by action, not by excuse. I am the living example of courage and discipline. Those who follow me will rise higher than I have risen. Speak them aloud until you feel their weight. They will not only change your children, they will change you. Remember that influence is never neutral. You either inspire or you infect. You either strengthen or you weaken. The air of your home carries your mood, and the soul of your child breathes it. Therefore, fill that air with purpose, with optimism, with calm. Replace complaint with gratitude, doubt with determination, criticism with encouragement. You cannot deceive nature. If your mind is ruled by fear, your child will sense it before you speak. If your spirit burns with faith, he will draw courage from your presence without understanding why. This is the silent transmission of power, the transfer of vibration from parent to child. It is invisible, but it is law. When your children are grown, they will carry within them an unseen compass, your compass. If you have lived by drift, theirs will point nowhere. If you have lived by definiteness, theirs will lead them home. You are not merely shaping their youth. You are shaping the instrument by which they will navigate life itself. Never underestimate what one transformed parent can accomplish. A man or woman who reforms their own example reforms generations. One disciplined soul can reverse 100 years of weakness. You are that soul if you decide to be. Do not complain that your children will not listen. They are listening every hour with their eyes. They hear not what you say, but what you are. If you wish them to believe, believe. If you wish them to stand, stand. If you wish them to dream, dream openly. If you wish them to be kind, speak with gentleness. You are the gospel they will preach by living. Close your eyes now and imagine your son or daughter grown. They stand before the world, calm, capable, certain. In their voice you hear your own tone. In their bearing, your own confidence. In their integrity, your own redemption. That is the true reward of parenthood, to see in another the reflection of your best self magnified. This is the law of example, the mirror of destiny. You cannot escape it, nor should you wish to. For when lived rightly, it gives immortality. To live as an example of faith, courage, and discipline is to create echoes that will not fade. Through your children, your grandchildren, and beyond, your spirit will march on, unconquered. So live today as though eternity were watching, and it is. Live so that when your children think of honor, they think of you. When they face hardship, they recall your composure. When they question faith, they remember your certainty. Then, though you depart this earth, your life will remain a pillar in their souls. This is how a man saves not only his children's future, but his own soul from obscurity, by living as the pattern others may safely follow. And when your children walk with dignity, with peace, with courage, you will know the secret of immortality. You have written yourself into the future through example. Part 3, the law of self-mastery. He who rules himself rules his home. No man may lead others until he first commands himself. You cannot direct the thoughts, tempers, and habits of a household while you are a stranger to the governance of your own mind. The undisciplined father will never raise disciplined children. The mother who drifts from mood to mood cannot build a home of order. Dominion over others begins with dominion over self. In every generation, the same truth appears. The measure of a man's influence is equal to the measure of his self-control. The world crowns not those who shout loudest, but those whose spirits stand firm when storms arise. The child who sees his parent ruled by temper learns that anger, not reason, governs life. The child who sees composure under pressure learns that power flows from calmness, not chaos. The law of cosmic habit force decrees that repeated thoughts and actions become automatic, and that every habit once formed governs destiny. Your children will not inherit your wealth as surely as they will inherit your habits. They will imitate your patience or your haste, your thrift or your waste, your faith or your fear. You are writing their habits daily in invisible ink upon the tablets of their minds. Think of Rockefeller, whose fortune was less an accident of oil than a triumph of order. He trained his thoughts and his actions to obey principle. When markets crashed, he remained composed. When men panicked, he planned. His discipline of mind became the atmosphere of his family. His children absorbed serenity as naturally as they breathed. He left them not only riches, but the method by which riches endure. Now contrast that picture with the restless parent, driven by impulse and appetite, who spends what he has not earned, who lashes out, repents, and repeats. His home becomes a rehearsal hall for weakness. The children grow up unsteady, easily swayed, for they have seen authority crumble from within. Where the parent drifts, the family drifts. Where the parent masters self, the family gains anchor. Self-mastery is not the crushing of emotion, it is the harmonizing of it. The wise parent does not seek to be cold, but controlled. Love expressed with reason strengthens. Love without control spoils. Anger directed by principle corrects. Anger unleashed destroys. The man who commands himself uses every feeling as servant of purpose. The man who serves his passions becomes slave of circumstance. Children do not seek tyrants. They seek examples of steadiness. The parent who leads through calm strength needs no threats. His authority flows naturally from respect. The child obeys not from fear of punishment, but from reverence for order. He senses that his father's words and actions spring from mastery, not impulse. This invisible dignity teaches more than 100 rules. Observe a household ruled by uncontrolled emotion. Shouting one moment, silence the next. It is like a ship tossed by contrary winds. The children grow nervous, uncertain, afraid to speak truth lest it ignite explosion. Such homes breed the habit of deceit. Yet in a home where the parent controls tone, gesture, and temper, there is peace. The children breathe confidence. They learn that self-command is safety. I once knew a man who complained that his son was stubborn, disrespectful, and lazy. Yet each day I saw that father break his own promises, sneer at duty, and waste his time. He demanded obedience while living rebellion. The boy was merely the mirror of his master. Law cannot be mocked. You will harvest in your children precisely what you plant in yourself. Therefore, make it your first business each morning to govern your own mind before seeking to govern the affairs of the day. Rise early. Enter silence. Give orders to your thoughts. Say, "Today I shall control my tone, my manner, my schedule, and my energy." When you command the inner kingdom, the outer world obeys in kind. Every victory over self sends ripples through the walls of your home. Practice one act of self-discipline daily. Speak only after reflection. Finish every task you begin. Keep one promise each day without fail. Eat and rest moderately. These simple victories accumulate until discipline becomes instinct. The child who observes them learns law through sight, not lecture. You may never tell him to persevere, yet he will, because you have shown him how perseverance looks and feels. Self-mastery is the difference between authority and tyranny. Authority is quiet, tyranny is loud. The one who masters himself does not need to command often. His presence commands for him. The ungoverned must shout to be heard, but the disciplined are obeyed without raising their voice. When the storm rages, the steady voice is refuge. Remember that emotion is contagious. Anger breeds anger. Calm breeds peace. When a father storms in rage, he multiplies rebellion. When he restrains himself and speaks with firmness, he multiplies respect. Each outburst that is conquered becomes a victory not only for the parent, but for the entire lineage. Self-control practiced by one generation becomes natural to the next. Discipline extends beyond temper. It governs appetite, speech, and time. The man who wastes hours teaches his child that time has no value. The woman who indulges every fancy teaches her daughter to follow impulse over purpose. But the parent who orders his day, work, rest, recreation, teaches balance, and balance is the foundation of power. Let your home feel your steadiness as the earth feels gravity. You need not explain your philosophy. The rhythm of your conduct will teach it better. When you rise at the same hour, labor without complaint, speak with restraint, and meet trial with quiet courage, your children will breathe that atmosphere and never forget it. Self-mastery requires effort, but it pays in generations of stability. Say aloud each morning, "I rule myself, therefore I am fit to guide others." My self-command becomes my family's stability. These are not idle words. They are commands to the subconscious. The mind obeys repetition. Repeat them until they become identity. Speak them before sleep, and they will work through the night, rebuilding will and composure. Do not believe that children respect indulgence. They may enjoy the gifts of an undisciplined parent, but they do not admire him. They admire firmness joined with love, rules enforced with consistency, and temper governed by reason. In your steadiness they find safety. In your mastery they find model. The home built upon whim soon falls. The home built upon order stands firm through every storm. The disciplined parent is a silent lighthouse. He does not run through the tempest shouting directions. He simply shines, steady and dependable. Ships steer by his light, though he speaks not a word. So it is with the father or mother who lives by law. Their presence guides even the rebellious back to harbor when conscience awakens. If you falter, do not despair. Even the great must relearn control. Lincoln, whose patience outlasted war and ridicule, mastered himself through suffering. Each insult, each setback was his teacher. When others raged, he reflected. That calm, learned through pain, became his strength and the strength of a nation. Self-control is not born, it is built. Understand that discipline begins with a single decision and grows through habit. For 30 days, refuse to yield to impulse. Speak when calm, act when certain, finish what you start. This routine ingrains law into character. The home that sees you conquer temper once will begin to believe that peace is possible. The second conquest will prove it. The third will make it tradition. In your self-mastery lies the salvation of your family. A man who rules himself cannot be ruled by circumstance. His calm becomes fortress. His word becomes oath. His life becomes pattern. His children learn that true power is not in domination, but in dominion over self. They grow to emulate not your wealth, but your control, not your words, but your composure. Look now into the future. Imagine your son or daughter grown, facing the same trials that once tested you. If you have lived with discipline, they will hear your steady voice echoing in their minds. Be still. Think. Act with purpose. Your self-mastery will live on through their decisions, saving them from the chaos that ruins weaker souls. Thus you secure not only your peace, but theirs. You cannot foresee every danger that will meet your children, but you can give them armor. That armor is the example of a parent who rules himself. It is stronger than inheritance, safer than insurance, and more enduring than property. It guards them long after you are gone. Remember, a home ruled by discipline is a school of kings. Each child raised under law becomes a future leader. Each lesson of control ripples outward into schools, businesses, and nations. The world itself is redeemed by self-mastered men and women who first learned law at home. So hold your head high, and when storms come, smile. You are not merely enduring for yourself. You are building stability for generations. Your calm today will steady your grandchildren tomorrow. Every impulse you conquer is one they will never need to fight. Close your eyes tonight and say, I have ruled myself this day. My home rests in peace because I have given it order. I am the foundation upon which future strength is built. These words are both prayer and prophecy. Lev them, and you will know that mastery of self is mastery of destiny. For he who conquers himself cannot be conquered by the world. He who governs his mind governs his household. And he who rules his household, ruled by faith and discipline, becomes ruler of his lineage unto generations yet unborn. Part 4. The Law of Faith and Fear. They will borrow your belief or your doubt. Every home, every man, every life is ruled by one of two invisible monarchs, faith or fear. These two cannot share a throne. Where one sits, the other flees. Every decision, every habit, every tone of voice springs from allegiance to one of these powers. And know this truth, your children will bow before the same master you serve. They will inherit your belief or your doubt, your courage or your dread, your faith or your fear. Fear is the oldest tyrant known to man. It enslaves without chains, commands without armies, punishes without whip. It hides behind reason, disguises itself as caution, and whispers its orders in the language of common sense. It tells the father, be careful, when faith would say, be bold. It tells the mother, protect the child from disappointment, when faith would say, prepare him for conquest. Fear robs not only the present, but the future. You may think your fear is private, that you have hidden it well, but your children know it. They feel it in the air of your home as surely as the lungs feel the weather. Fear has a vibration, a heaviness, a gloom, a paralysis. It deadens the voice, slows the hand, and turns possibility into impossibility. A home ruled by fear is like a room without light. Everything is still there, but nothing can be seen clearly. A fearful